say what he's thinking. It's the Michael K. Show on 880 ESPN Radio.
And a good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show. We thank you for joining us on this Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. Me and you for two. Those are the rules of engagement. And you know the password to become a co-host, right? 1-800-919-3776 to join in on the fastest 2 hours in the world. Not just sports talk radio, fastest 2 hours in the world. Tell me that you settle in, you're listening, and you blink and it's over. That's when you know it's great. The shows have been unbelievable. I thank you so much for being a part of it. I am going to talk everybody off a cliff right now. The Yankees have lost 7 of 9. The Mets have lost 7 in a row. People are starting to panic. They want change. And I'm going to utter a sentence that will bring everything into crystal clear focus. You ready? Move a little closer to the speaker because I think this is going to resonate. The Minnesota Twins have the best record in the American League. Full stop. Now, do you think the Minnesota Twins are going to be over 500 this year? Do you think, if you do think that, do you think they're going to be in the playoffs? And if you do think that, do you think that they're going to have the best record in the American League? The answer to all of those things would be no. The Minnesota Twins have gotten off to a really surprising, electric start. They're not good enough to keep this up. They're not built to make the playoffs. They have a payroll that will not provide the necessary ingredients to be the team with the best record in the American League. And I only give you that one sentence to tell you how early it is, how silly it is to make snap judgments on the long-term viability of a team because they've gotten off to a sluggish start. I hope that this message has helped you cope if you're a Met fan. Will help you cope if you're a Yankee fan. And it wasn't a good night for the locals. No. It was not. It was not. While most of you were sleeping, the Mets, again, have an inability to score runs. They lost this 2-1 when Kyle Tucker and his $60 million a year contract blooped a single into the outfield to drive in what turned out to be the winning run. And the Dodgers beat the Mets 2-1. So the Mets have been shut out in 3 of the last 5 games, and they lose yesterday's game, scoring just 1. And since Lindor had a home run in the first inning, they didn't score after that. And what they did was they wasted an incredible outing by Nolan McLean. And I believe that Nolan McLean is the real deal. This guy can play. He is seemingly impervious to pressure. Got really good stuff. He's a star in the making. I feel like him the way I feel about Cam Schlittler. Now, Schlittler, last year, because his team made the playoffs, was able to show it on a bigger stage by pitching 8 innings of 12 strikeout, no walk ball against the Red Sox to get the Yankees into the next round of the playoffs where they lost to the Blue Jays. But I think that McLean, who was lined up to start the first game of the playoffs if the Mets were able to beat the Marlins in game 162, I think he's got that something too. So there have been pitchers that have struggled for the Mets. David Peterson has struggled. I don't think he pitched that poorly in the first game of the Dodgers series. He gave up the 3-run home run to Paez, but for the most part, he wasn't awful. Clay Holmes, who's starting today against Ohtani, or tonight against Ohtani, I think he's pitched well. Senga, before he got slapped around in his last start, I thought has looked really, really good. So I don't think the pitching is the issue for the Mets. Here's the issue. They're 26th in runs in baseball, 27th in on-base percentage, and 26th in slugging. It's hard to get it done. It's hard to get it done that way. Now, if you're a Met fan, you have to feel better, though, because Steve Cohen, who's with the team in L.A., sent out a very encouraging text pointing out Lindor's home run, Bichette pulling a ball. I mean, really getting into the weeds baseball-wise and saying, we're going to be fine, just have patience. I wonder, and I put it out to you because I don't know. Met fans looked at Steve Cohen as their savior after the years of the Wilpons. Uncle Steve, they all loved him, and, he's willing to spend money. I wonder if he rankles you now. Are you still in love with him? You should be, because he puts you on a financial plane that not many teams could be on. But he did hire David Stearns. He allowed Stearns to get rid of Buck. He allowed Stearns to get rid of Alonso and Nimmo and McNeil. He allowed all of that to happen. Are you okay with it? And then he made the comment when he gave out the free tickets that a lot of people that got the free tickets to the cold weather game didn't even show up. And this was after last year where he said, listen, I spent all the money. Now you people show me that you're willing to spend the money, and you come out and you come to the ballpark. And the Met fans supported their team off the charts last year. Off the charts. So are you still in love with him the way you were at the beginning? Again, I think you should be. But, I have some Met friends who don't like, they think he tweets too much, that he's getting involved in things that maybe he shouldn't be involved in. What surprises me is that Steve Cohen, in his previous life, was a covert operator in the hedge fund business. He was almost like mythical. Wasn't very public, not at all. He is very public as the owner of the Mets. Very public. Now, worked for George Steinbrenner. Sometimes it didn't, but for the most part it did. Worked for Mark Cuban, works for Jerry Jones. But you got to win in order for people to want to hear from you. And so far, the Mets have not won with Steve Cohen as the owner. So I'm just curious if Met fans feel the same way. Again, I think they should. Now, at 1:30, we are going to talk to Laura Albanese, who covers the Mets for Newsday. She's really, really good. So I want to get her take on what's going on with this team. What are they feeling? Well, what's it like behind the scenes with them? So I'll talk to Laura. That'll be at 1:30. At 2:30, well, it's Wednesday, so we get an opportunity to talk to our good friend Mike Lupica. So a couple of really good guests on the show today. And, of course, you're one of the co-hosts. Now, Yankees had an exhilarating win on Monday, coming back several times to end up winning the game 11-10. That's the most runs they scored this season. And you figure, well, maybe that will right the ship. Well, it didn't, because they lost 7-1 yesterday. Reed Detmers just shut them down. Pitched into the eighth inning, allowed 2 singles in the eighth inning. The bullpen allowed 1 run to score, but he was great. 9 strikeouts, no walks. Lefty batter really shut the Yankees down. Ryan Weathers, who pitched beautifully in his previous start, did not pitch beautifully in this start. He gave up 3 straight home runs in the first inning, and the Angels never looked back. In fact, the Angels hit 5 home runs against Yankee pitching, 4 against Weathers, which is a career high for him to allow that many. He did strike out 10, but because he struck out 10, he wasn't able to go as long as he needed to, and the Yankees had to go to the bullpen. So the Yankees, this was not a 1-run game, but they're 1-6 in 1-run games. They've lost 7 of their last 9. And the interesting stat is that they have not scored 1 run in Ryan Weathers' starts while he's in the game. Not one. Not 1 run of offensive support. What does it mean? I don't know, but I thought it was a curious number. Now, this is also curious to me. So the Yankees have faced 5 left-handed starters. And in 4 of those games, Ben Rice has not started, where they've gone with Paul Goldschmidt. And Chris Kirchner of the Athletic asked Aaron Boone straight out, is Rice a platoon player? And excuse my language, but Boone says, hell no. But when he doesn't start in 4 or 5 games against a left-hander, it kind of screams out platoon. Now, I know what Boone's doing. I understand it. I just don't necessarily agree with it. Because he's employing Ben Rice off the bench, where he has been very successful. But Ben Rice is the starting first baseman for the Yankees. And he can hit left-handed pitching. And I just think that the way the Yankees are constructed, if you're going to have Goldschmidt on the team, he's got to play. And since he can only play one position, he's going to replace Rice against left-handed pitching. So even though you'll deploy Rice off the bench later in the game, when they go to a right-hander in the bullpen, you're taking at-bats away from one of the best hitters in your lineup. And if I'm Boone, I'm not sure what I would do, because Goldschmidt is an excellent hitter against left-handed pitching. Nobody hit Reed Detmers yesterday, neither did Goldie, but if you don't play him then, what value does he have on the team? He can't pinch run, can't play any other position but first. So he's either starting at first base or he's hardly ever going to play. And I think that when the Yankees re-sign Goldschmidt, they really like him, and he's a great influence in the clubhouse to the young players. Everybody loves the guy. I think that they signed him for the express purpose of when that Stanton injury hits. Because then he slides right in, and he's the DH, at least against left-handed pitching. But maybe 2026 is that one season where Giancarlo doesn't get hurt, that he actually posts up 145 times. If that happens, then you have yourself a problem at first base, because Ben Rice should start at first base 150 times a year. He's that good of a hitter. He's a potential 30-110 guy. So the front office has presented Boone with a conundrum. Do we turn Goldschmidt into a non-player and play Rice every day? Or do we play Goldschmidt in the games that left-handers start, which is about 25% of the starts during the year, and then turn Ben Rice into a glorified pinch hitter in those games? I think you've got to go with Rice and use Goldschmidt as a pinch hitter against a tough lefty reliever. I don't know if they made some kind of promise when they brought back Goldschmidt at a much reduced salary than he had last year, because he wanted to be here and he thought the team had a chance to win. Again, a good player, still has skill at the age of 37, 38, but you can't use him in place of Rice. So, Aaron Boone is going to fight and say, well, Rice is not a platoon player. But you're going to say one thing, but my eyes tell me something else. If you don't play, if you don't start in 4 of the 5 games that lefties start, that's essentially the definition of a platoon player, even if he does come in off the bench. And he's a valuable weapon off the bench. So on Monday, he used him in the 5th inning. Yesterday, he used him, I believe, in the 8th inning, maybe even in the 9th. No, it was in the 8th inning. So if you're using him in the 5th, that's 2 at-bats he didn't get at the beginning of the game. You're using him in the 8th, that's 3 to 4 at-bats that you've left in the dugout with him. I don't know how you solve this problem other than if Stanton runs into an IL stint and all of a sudden Goldschmidt fills that role. And as much as I like Goldschmidt and I understood the signing and I advocated for it, it presents a dilemma, especially if you think, as I do, that Ben Rice is the real deal. It's a dilemma for Boone. I don't envy him, because if you don't play him against lefty starters, I'm talking about Goldschmidt, he's a non-person. He can't pinch run, can't play any position but first. He's not a great hitter against righties. He's a great hitter against lefties. So if you don't play him against lefty starters, he's not going to play. He does not profile as a great bench piece just as a pinch hitter. Because if you pinch hit for him late in the game against a left-hander and he gets a hit, he's immediately pinch run for you. You've got to use 3 players for that move. It's complicated. 1-800-919-3776. 1-800-919-3776. Let's go to the phones. Let's see what you're thinking. Why don't we start with our good friend Bruce in Flushing. Bruce, how you doing?
Hey, Mike, how you doing today?
Good.
Three Yankee questions, if I can. First one, how much of a runway are they going to give the third baseman to see if he can hit? I understand he's making $16 million a year, but he's basically at this last year and this year, he's like an automatic out. So do they give him to Memorial Day, or at Memorial Day they say, okay, we need to make a change, or they give him further than that? Then I have 2 more questions.
All right, let me take him one question at a time. I think his runway's been shortened already, Bruce. Against lefties, he's not playing.
Right.
Rosario's the third baseman. So I don't know what their appetite's going to be if he's hitting 180 in May. I don't know where they turn. I mean, do they bring up George Lombard, who's tearing it up at AA? I'm not sure what their move would be. And although finances shouldn't play a role in it, he does make 16 this year and 16 next year, and he is a good third baseman. He's always going to play third base, Bruce, when Max Fried is pitching, no matter who's the opposite pitcher, because they want to maximize their defense. But I think some of the runway is shortened because you see he's getting pinch hit for, and he's not starting against lefty pitching.
I understand that how it's drawn a line on the budget, but do you go out and make a trade? And one guy that comes to mind is a guy like Chapman, who's playing well this year. I understand, Frisco gave him a big contract, but if this is going to be a World Series contender, he definitely fills a hole, and you have a lot of people in the minor leagues that you could trade for. Do you think Howe would increase the budget to get a guy like Chapman?
I think that Howe would increase the budget, and he's done that before at the trade deadline. I don't think that they would have great interest in Chapman because Chapman has been spotty offensively too. This year he's having a good year, and we know he's a tremendous defender, but that's a long-term contract. I just don't think that they would want to absorb that, and they've had opportunities to sign Chapman before, and they never showed any interest.
Okay, second question. Let's say Lombardi is doing well. Obviously, he's not going to hit 460 for the whole year, but he's hitting 320, 330, whatever. And he's doing that in Memorial Day. Do they say, okay, we'll bump him up to AAA for a few weeks and see how he does? Or if you're still having a problem with third base, do you take a gamble and bring him up?
I think the first move would be to bring him to AAA just to get him at that level to kind of conquer that level. And then they have a lot of options with him. Volpe takes over at the end of April. How does he do? Is his offense improved? If it's not, they could bring Lombard up to be the shortstop. If McMahon continues to struggle, they could have Lombard be the third base. I don't think they want to rush this guy, but people are raving about him. I don't know, Bruce, if you saw what Zach Wheeler said. He said he's going to be trouble. Yeah. This guy's got a great swing path because everybody looks at this guy and said he's really, really good.
Well, what happened? I mean, he really struggled last year.
Yep.
And so what happened between off-season and spring training? What made him so much better?
He matured. He got stronger. I mean, remember, he was really young. So I think he's still just 21 years old. Sometimes it takes a while.
And one last point. Yavini Cruz, who had, I know he had only a brief time in training camp, but looked good. He's looked very good in AAA. Do they consider him a legitimate prospect? And don't you think, and I know you have to add him on to the 40-man roster.
You mean Elmer Rodriguez?
No, Yavini Cruz.
Oh, okay.
The reliever, the one who he was good in training, and if you look at his stats, he's doing phenomenal. I don't think he's given up a run, or if he has only given up run in like 5 or 6 appearances, do they consider him a legitimate prospect? And would they bring him up and release a guy like Blackburn?
I think they like Blackburn a lot, especially as a long relief guy. As for Cruz, I think they'd be somewhat reticent to put a guy on the 40, which means that you'd have to take somebody off the 40 and lose them. But I think that the Yankees' first priority would be to try to fix the bullpen issue in the minors. So they sent down De Los Santos after yesterday through 40 pitches. So we'll see who they get called up. It could be Castro, who they like, Kervin Castro, who really showed a lot in spring training. As for, Cruz, I did not hear that much about him in spring training where they were raving about him. Usually when somebody shows, you'll hear whispers or coaches will come up to you and say that. You heard that about LaGrange. You heard that about Elmer Rodriguez. I didn't hear that about Cruz yet. But I think that their first priority would be to improve the bullpen from within, either some of their rotation pieces that will have to be moved to the bullpen when you get back Cole and Rodon. Maybe a guy like Weathers could enhance the bullpen. Maybe a guy like Heel could enhance the bullpen, or Warren. They will try to fix from within, and then they'll look to make trades. Let's go to Tony in Dobbs Ferry. Tony.
Mike, thanks for having me on, man.
You got it. What's up?
It's great to speak to you. Mike, I'm a big Yankee fan. I got a big family. We try to get to maybe like 7 or 8 games a year. It's not cheap. Not cheap.
Nope.
My thing is this. The Yankees decided to run it back. I was okay with it. I know you were okay with it. There's just so many problems in this lineup, though. When it's 7 out of the 9 guys that aren't hitting, that's a problem. I know it's a small sample size. I know I listen to you all the time. It's not instant rice. It's a crock pot. I get all that. Trust me, I do. But what are we going to do when this is happening in May? And we're in a tough division, man. We got the Blue Jays, the Orioles are nothing to sneeze at, and we just found out what the Rays are like, okay? I don't think either one of those 3 teams are going anywhere. It's going to be a tough race the whole year. We're going to beat up on each other. It's not back in the days where the Yankees beat up on the Orioles and beat up on the Indians, and those pile up our wins. My question to you is this. At what point are the Yankees going to say, this just isn't it? And they look at the kid Lombard, and they look at the Martian, and they look at Spencer Jones, and they say to just bring these guys up, make the lineup younger, give these guys a chance to play. I mean, what else could we do? We have young pitching. Schlittler's young. Weathers is young. I think Weathers is the real deal. I think he's going to be really good. I know he got beat up a little bit yesterday, but what about he pitched great the other day, and the Yankees almost got no hit.
Well,
I think we have a chance to be very young.
You're throwing a lot at me, Tony, but I think you kind of answered your own question. It's a small sample size. If they're struggling in the end of May, then they've got decisions to make, and they would rejigger things. They're not even thinking along those lines. They're one of the few teams in the American League that has an over 500 record. I know that's not what you want. What you wanted was when they were 8-2 and playing 800 ball. Teams don't play 800 ball across an entire season. So when they were 8-2, I came on and said, don't get that excited about it. When they lost 5 in a row, don't get that depressed about it. Lombard is there. He's in Double-A, so I don't think he's on the precipice of being called up. But the Yankees have made these moves before. They've made these moves before. Remember when they called up Robinson Cano at the end of April, and that kind of changed the arc of the whole season? That could happen, but they're not even close to that. They're not a terrible team. Right now, people are struggling, and they're still over 500. I can't amplify this enough. It's not time to panic. And even if it was time to panic, they're not giving you anything to panic about. They're over 500. And as I said at the start of the show, the Minnesota Twins, who are built to lose, have the best record in the American League. Doesn't that tell you all you need to know? You all know, you're sports fans. If you're listening to this show, you're sports fans. The Minnesota Twins aren't good. And they have the best record in the American League. It tells you how small a sample size it is. Met fans shouldn't be freaking out. Yankee fans shouldn't be freaking out. And Minnesota Twins fans should not be buying playoff tickets. They'll make moves if they have to. When in your lifetime, Tony, have they ever bagged a season where they threw up their hands and said, well, that's it. If they have to make moves, they'll make moves, but they're not even close to that. Their projected number 1 starter is coming back at the end of May. Their projected number 3 starter is coming back at the end of this month. Their starting shortstop is coming back in a couple of weeks. And we're going to go panic now and bring up Lombard and Spencer. They're not bringing up Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez. Where are you putting him? Who are you taking out? The Lombard thing, I guess the easy one, well, you just take out McMahon. But who are you taking out for Jason Dominguez? You're going to bench Trent Grisham? Who are you taking out to bring up Spencer Jones? That person doesn't exist. Deep breath, everybody. Breathe in. Breathe in slowly. This is not the time to panic. They're not a bad team. They're a good team. I direct you to read John Heyman's column in the Post today. Of the two fan bases, the ones that have a more legitimate reason to maybe panic would be the Mets, because it's a completely rejiggered team. The Yankees ran back a team that won 94 games. And they're going to get better because they have Cole pitching this year. And they have Schlittler for the entire season. You think they're going to be worse than they were last year? Why? What would lead you to believe that? The same team from last year won 94 games, and you're giving up after 3 weeks? We're going to dive deeper into the Mets when we talk to Laura Albanese, who covers the Mets for Newsday. Does a great job, so I can't wait to talk with her. ESPN New York and Floor & Decor are giving you the chance to design your day with me, Michael Kay. One lucky fan and a guest will win a studio visit, exclusive meet and greet with me. This is your all-access pass and an experience that you won't forget. So to enter, head to the Floor & Decor flagship store at 850 3rd Avenue in Brooklyn. Design your day with me, Michael Kay, presented by Floor & Decor. Laura Albanese joins us in just a moment. This should be fun. We'll talk to her about what's going on with the Mets. Why are they struggling as much as they are? And is it something that it's legitimate to worry long-term after a short sample size with them and a 7-game losing streak? All coming up right here on The K Show, ESPN New York.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
1 in every 6 men is likely to be diagnosed with prostate cancer in his lifetime. That's why New York Presbyterian wants to remind men over 50 to book a prostate cancer screening. A simple blood test is all it takes. It could save your life. Screenings are available across New York City and Westchester at locations near you. Schedule your annual prostate cancer screening today at nyp.org/cancer screening. Stay amazing. New York Presbyterian.
It feels like everyone's sick right now. You aren't imagining it. Doctors say this is the worst cold and flu season in 25 years, and it's not over. I was just traveling. It was like everyone around me was coughing, sneezing, and sick. I can't afford to get sick, and I doubt you can either. That's why I ordered a medical emergency kit. Having a medical emergency kit is like having urgent care and pharmacy right in your home. It includes essential prescriptions like generic Z-Pak to help you get well faster, plus important antibiotics to treat pneumonia, strep throat, sinus and ear infections, nausea, even UTIs, and many more common and serious illnesses. It's your kit the moment you need it. Just match your symptoms to the right prescription in your guidebook or call their telemedicine doctor standing by. It's genius. Every home needs at least one medical emergency kit. Order yours online in minutes and it's shipped to your door. I can save you $45 when you use my promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880. Again, save $45 with my promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880.
Tricon Construction is expanding across New Jersey, taking on larger, more complex commercial projects and delivering at a big league level. If you're a developer who values precision, accountability, and execution, you need a construction partner who understands what's at stake: timelines, capital, reputation. That's Tricon. They're building the right way with experienced leadership, disciplined project management, and a team that shows up ready. Serious projects, serious results. Visit TriconBuilds.com, TriconBuilds.com.
Wow, that's a lot of distractions. Why don't you just focus on the road?
Relax, I'm a great driver.
What about other drivers? Not everyone's a great driver.
I can watch out for them. I'll be fine.
Watch out! In 2023, more than 3,200 people died due to distracted drivers. Keep your eyes on the road. This message brought to you by the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee.
Monkey Sports, built by players for players, is your one-stop shop for hockey, baseball, lacrosse, and more. Find top-name equipment and expert in-store services like sharpening, break-ins, and relacing. Shop in-store at Monkey Sports in Farmingdale or Woodbridge, or online for all the top brands. Whatever your sports, Monkey Sports gets you game ready fast. Monkey Sports, where athletes shop.
If you're trying to save money but still eat well, just go to Wild Fork Foods and thank me later. You get pork tenderloin for $2.50 a pound, ground turkey for $3 a pound, ground chorizo for only $4 a pound. Those are everyday staples at serious value, and it's all blast frozen, so you're not sacrificing quality. Plus, they've got over 450 options, 7 locations, or same-day delivery at wildforkfoods.com. Go check out Wild Fork Foods.
Evan Cohen here. In life, as in sports, the pros make it look easy. That's why pro golfers like Jason Day, Ben Griffin, and Patton Kazire trust the pros in lawn care. True Green. They have the experience and expertise to give you a lawn worthy of the PGA Tour. And since True Green does the work for you, you get more free time, or more tee times. So stop stressing over your lawn and start loving it. Sign up now at TrueGreen.com, because nobody makes it easier to get a golf course quality lawn than True Green, the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour.
You know the rush when you reach that goal, when something you've worked for pays off. That's success. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we believe you should never stop chasing it. That's why we offer a skills-based education that helps move your career forward. Learn how to apply emerging technologies like AI and data science. Build your leadership and critical thinking skills. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start May 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by SCHEV.
Well, I told you the Yankees sent down De Los Santos after calling him up before the game, using him for 40 pitches, which was the most that he's thrown so far this year, sending him down because once he threw 40 pitches, he wasn't going to be available for 3 days. So they call up Angel Chavihi, who they got in an offseason deal from the Rockies. So that's the new addition to the bullpen tonight. Game Time is brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. 7 p.m., the Rangers close out an awful season in Tampa Bay, playing the Lightning. Coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. on 1050 ESPN. At 7:05, the Yankees host the Angels at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. I'll be doing that game with Meredith Morakovitz and Paul O'Neill, and the game will be on Prime. And at 10 p.m., the Mets are in Los Angeles to play the Dodgers, trying to snap their 7-game losing streak. Coverage begins at 9:20 p.m., and that'll be right here on 880 ESPN. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, and triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew. Try the new Tullamore Dew Honey during today's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. We are still waiting on Laura Albanese, so while we wait, we'll go back to the phone calls. Let's go to Jim in Milford. Jim.
Yes. Hi, Michael. Hi.
Hello, Jim.
Hi. I'd like to talk to you about Goldschmidt. Okay. I know that you favored signing him. He's had a great career. He's a terrific hitter. But I didn't favor signing him at the time because he's a one-dimensional player. And let's say he comes in to pinch hit for McMahon or somebody late in the game, and there's a lefty on the mound. And he gets a hit. Okay, so now you've got to put possibly a pinch runner in for him, and you've got to find somebody on the bench to take that position. Mm-hmm. You only have a four-man bench. This is where I say there's a problem with a four-man bench. Now, I know that you said you favored possibly signing him because he might be able to fill in for Stanton if and when Stanton gets injured.
Mm-hmm.
But the Yankees do have another alternative solution to that, and that is bring up Dominguez.
But he can't hit right-handed.
Let him play left field.
But he can't hit right-handed.
Well, but Goldschmidt is a one-dimensional player. What's better?
Well, but Goldschmidt's a plus defender, and Jason Dominguez is not a good
only
outfielder.
at one position. But
no, listen, Jim. I pretty much just said everything that you said. I think he was a good fallback for Stanton, and they're not paying him a lot of money. He wanted to come back, so it was a good gamble. I don't want to be taking at bats away from Rice. Because I understand what Boone's saying, what a weapon off the bench. Well, along those lines of thinking, Judge is a great weapon off the bench. If you don't start him, do you want to rob him of 3 at-bats before you take him off the bench to deliver a big blow off the bench in the 7th inning? So your best player should play. Ben Rice is one of your best players, so I don't want him to become a glorified pinch hitter when the other team starts a lefty. I think you're hurting the team. That's why Goldschmidt at this point on the bench, it's clunky. It's a clunky fit. You want to know who's a good bench player? Rosario and Caballero. They can play anywhere. Anywhere. Randall Grichuk could play all outfield positions, and he could pinch run. Also not a bad bench player. J.C. Escar, you have to have a backup catcher. In the perfect world, you'd want to have a right-handed backup catcher when your starting catcher is left-handed. But it's not a perfect world. Goldschmidt, it's very rare when you look. You can only have 4 guys on the bench. You have to carry 13 pitchers. You have to. So, one of you guys on the bench is a non-player or a one-dimensional player. It's tough. It's a tough fit. Max in Long Island. Max.
Hey, Michael. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Good.
I wanted to ask you just very simply, I mean, I know we've seen Ben Rice get some reps at catcher. Mm-hmm. Is he too big a liability to throw? When there's a lefty on the mound, why can't he throw Goldschmidt on first base and throw Ben Rice behind the plate? Is he too big a liability on the defensive end?
I don't think he's a liability, Max, and I thought that too. And Boone kind of answered the question. He's not ready for Rice to catch yet. I don't know what that means. They didn't really catch Rice in spring training. But to me, that's a no-brainer. But again, it becomes clunky because he's also a lefty hitter. So you're going to sit down Wells against a lefty, but you're going to play a lefty in place of him, and the other catcher is also a lefty. Again, it's kind of clunky. But you're right. You can get both of those at-bats in there, or both those at-bats in there. But for some reason, and I'll do some further digging tonight, they said that they're not prepared to play Rice behind the plate yet. Let's go to Spencer in East Windsor. Spencer.
Mike, thanks. I interrupt your program with to celebrate this moment in history, baseball history and Yankee history. This is the 50th anniversary after 2 years of playing in Shea Stadium that the Yankees opened up in the renovated Yankee Stadium. If Troy Benjamin is looking for material for his trivia questions, there were 4 players who played for the Yankees in the original stadium, Shea Stadium, and the then renovated stadium. They are Roy White, Thurman, Bobby Mercer, and Sparky Lyle. Also wanted to pay tribute to Jackie Robinson today on this day. In the Ken Burns documentary, one of the most profound things is when we hear the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who recently passed away, deliver the eulogy for Jackie, and he echoes his steal of home. Jackie's steal of home actually has a very interesting connection to a former Yankees coach. In that play, Jackie reached second base on a double, and he got the third on a sacrifice fly. The Brooklyn Dodger that hit that sacrifice fly in the 1955 World Series to set up one of the most iconic and everlasting plays in sports history was Don Zimmer. Michael, one of my questions, if I ever had the privilege of meeting Joe Torre, was did he and Don Zimmer ever talk about his small but significant role in baseball history, and if he even talked about it with Yogi Berra? It is something I would just really, really love to know. Quick Yankee point, the Yankees missed an opportunity against the struggling Detmers yesterday. It won't get easier today against the Conaway. Thank you for your time, Mike. I hope you enjoyed that.
You got it, Spencer. And today is Jackie Robinson Day around Major League Baseball. He broke the color barrier 79 years ago today. And everybody in baseball will be wearing number 42 today to honor Jackie Robinson. And for those younger listeners that might be fans of the show, do some homework today. Find out what this guy went through to play baseball and how he made it easier for those that followed him. I mean, the slings and arrows that this man took just to be on a baseball field from opposing teams, from opposing fans. Not easy. Not easy, but he did it, and that's why he is a part of forever. And Spencer, who's kind of like the unofficial historian of the show, this is the anniversary of the new Yankee Stadium opening up in 1976. And I don't know how, but I had tickets to that game. So I was 15 years old. And the seats I always sat in were, general admission, $1.50, right behind home plate, the last row behind home plate. And I just remember walking into the ballpark that day. And I walked in from the left field entrance. And the one thing that, and for those that are younger that are listening, this will sound so foreign to you. The big deal about this new ballpark that everybody was buzzing about was they actually had a scoreboard that played videos. I mean, it was, in 1976, it was unheard of. The old stadium scoreboard was just scores and letters and numbers. Same thing with Shea Stadium. But this had a video board. And so that was how I craned my neck coming up through, that spiral entranceway in left field to see the scoreboard. And on the scoreboard, I remember to this day, it said, "Welcome to the new Yankee Stadium." And I can't wait to see, they're going to have pictures on there and moving images and stuff like that. And it didn't work that day. It didn't work, which was such an unbelievable disappointment. But the interesting thing is, in comparison to what we have now, which essentially are crystal clear television screens the size of a house in all of these ballparks, those were just lights arranged that you could see an image of a face or a video of some sort. But that was like the big deal at that ballpark. Yankees played the Minnesota Twins that day, and the first home run ever hit in the ballpark was Dan Ford, Disco Dan Ford of the Minnesota Twins. So, I didn't even realize today was the anniversary. So, 50 years. Wow. 50 years ago. Amazing. Time does fly, and and I remember walking into this Yankee Stadium, and it wasn't the same expectation because ballparks had gotten modern, but the refurbishing of Yankee Stadium was like, first of all, you're essentially tearing down an iconic ballpark in the old place, and you had to get it right, and they got that right. That was a home field advantage for the Yankees, and they christened the ballpark by going to the World Series. They did get swept by the Reds that year. And then the next 2 years, they won the World Series against the Dodgers. And this new ballpark, they christened with a World Championship against the Phillies. So kind of interesting stuff. But that scoreboard, it still remains in my mind how crushed I was when I looked up and it just said, "Welcome to the new Yankees." And that's what it said pretty much the entire game. Pretty much the entire game. Hey, the NFL Draft is coming up on Thursday, April 23rd, and New York is on the clock. The Jets pick 2nd and 16th. The Giants pick 5th. And Rick DiPietro and Dave Rothenberg are breaking it all down live. Join ESPN New York's Couchcast, your second screen for the NFL Draft. Real-time reactions, instant takes, and everything New York fans care about. Watch along, react with them, and don't miss a single moment. ESPN New York's Couchcast on Draft Night, April 23rd at 8 p.m., presented by Calandra's Bakery. They are great people, great supporters of the station and the show, so we love Calandra's. Okay, when we come back, more of your phone calls. We're still trying to get Laura Albanese, who we thought we had a commitment to have her on, but we'll see, trying to track her down. Mike Lupica at 2:30. It's the K Show, rolling till 3. At that time, Hahn and Rosenberg right here on ESPN New York.
877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now or go to carsforkids.org.
Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
Hey, New York and New Jersey, Boost Mobile has an unlimited talk, text, and data plan that's only $25 a month forever, meaning you'll only ever pay $25 a month for the rest of your life. Who wouldn't want unlimited wireless when it only costs $25 a month forever? If you don't, you must be one of those people who enjoy overpaying for their phone plan. $25 a month forever is truly as good as it gets. So go online and switch now at boostmobile.com. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
The NBA moves fast, and the stars move faster. With DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, you're never a step behind. DraftKings keeps pace with every play, offering industry-leading live betting, dynamic odds that shift as the game unfolds, and more open markets more often. They're live when others aren't, so you're always in the game when it matters most. Get in on the action with live player props as the most exciting performances unfold in real time. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code WHSQ. That's code WHSQ. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problems gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply.
Life is motion, but for Jaime, debilitating pain in both hips brought everything, including family time, to a halt.
Every doctor told me the same thing. They would do one hip at a time.
At White Plains Hospital, Dr. Jacob Totka's unique expertise provided an alternate approach by replacing both of Jaime's hips on the same day.
In just 2 hours, I got 2 new hips, and I went home that day.
White Plains Hospital, among the best hospitals anywhere that just so happens to be here. A member of the Montefiore Health System.
Hey, it's Alan Hahn. Rings End is your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. They're your store for quality with a full line of brilliant and durable Benjamin Moore paints. They're your store for inspiration with thousands of colors and a variety of sheens. And Rings End is your store for expertise with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. Insist on Benjamin Moore paint from Rings End because the gorgeous color you love can't be matched in another brand of paint.
Hi, this is Chevy, managing partner at Precision Solar. If you're looking at solar in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut, here's what actually matters. Real numbers, honest answers, and a team that handles everything. We manage the entire process from start to finish. Designs, approvals, installation, and even a brand new roof if you need one. We don't sell you more than your home actually needs. Just smart systems designed for long-term savings and predictable energy costs. Visit PrecisionSolar.com to schedule your free home assessment. Precision Solar, built to perform for decades.
Adam Schefter here. You know the feeling when a candidate just stands out? Not just the resume, but their energy. That makes a difference. If you're hiring, you want a candidate who's passionate, but you can't get that insight from a resume unless you post your job on ZipRecruiter. Their matching technology finds qualified candidates fast, and ZipRecruiter has a new feature that shows you the most interested qualified candidates first. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/sports. That's ZipRecruiter.com/sports.
Do you read more about your team in the off-season than in the season? Does your game day outfit include a brown bag with eye holes? Then you may be a fan of a BST or bad sports team. Luckily, when you bundle your home and auto insurance with Progressive, you're protected. Because seeing your painted face in the rearview mirror after a loss isn't just depressing. It's distracting. Visit Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Covered subject to policy terms. Not available in all states or situations.
Step inside the game you love with the NBA app. Tap to watch every game as it's happening.
Jalen Brunson does it again!
And never miss a moment of the jaw-dropping action. Get closer to the players than anywhere else. Follow the latest schedules, scores, and stats. Keep up with every story from across the league. And with NBA ID, it's all personalized to you. The game lives here. Download today.
Well, this falls under the heading, everybody, of no good deed goes unpunished. Now, let's rewind to the past Easter Sunday, right? So it was a couple of weeks ago. And the beginning of the game was delayed by, I think, 3 hours and 35 minutes. So the game was on yes, and during those 3 hours and 35 minutes, the studio filled all the time. So the two people in the booth, me and Joe Girardi, we weren't doing anything for those 3.5 hours. So during those 3.5 hours, people on X were tweeting at me and saying, could I come take a picture? So I said, why not try to make these people that are spending 3.5 hours on Easter Sunday waiting for a game to start, let me go out there and take pictures. What's the big deal? It's not a big deal at all. In fact, I love meeting fans and people. It's great. It's one of the perks of the job. So I tweeted, meet at the broadcast door, Yankee Stadium, tell the security guard to come get me. So I did that. And people did it. So the one person I answered, when you do it on X, everybody sees it. So most people that were at the ballpark, they kind of made a pilgrimage to the broadcast door. And I came out and I took pictures with people and signed autographs for 40 minutes. Now, I'm not looking for any awards. I mean, it's much nicer to be a nice person than to be a creep. It takes a lot of effort to be a creep. A lot. So, and if you can make kids smile or whatever, if for some reason they like me or they listen to the broadcast and go out and take a picture. I wasn't doing anything else for 3.5 hours. So it was a blast. But now people seem to think that I could do that every day. So there was a gentleman who was really, really kind who pulled a Michael Kay signed card out of the last batch of Topps cards, right? And so I can't even, they send you those cards to sign, and you can't take them because they're a limited edition. So I don't have any of these cards, and I mentioned that once on the air, right? And this guy came to the stadium and kept tweeting at me, I'd love to give you this card. He pulled this Michael Kay card. He said, I'd love to give you this card. You can give it to Charlie, which was very, very kind. But he's tweeting this as the game is going on. So if there's no rain delay and I'm on the air, I can't leave the booth. The only time I can leave the booth is maybe to go run and urinate. And then I have to run back. I can't go and have discussions with people on the concourse. And now all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. You couldn't take a little time. You couldn't let Paul O'Neill. That's not the way the business works. The reason I was able to do it on Easter Sunday, I was sitting there on my thumb for 3.5 hours. I said, let me do something productive out of this and maybe make people happy. But now it's become a thing, and it was happening in St. Pete at the Trop. Can I take a picture with you? The game is going on. No, you can't. I don't want to be a bad guy. I'm not allowed to leave the booth. I mean, we're doing when there's a commercial between innings, I'm being told what we're going to do next, what video we're going to show, well, what read I have to do. I don't have time to get up and go to a door, and I love to meet people. I love to talk to them when I'm free. So please, I beg you, I don't want this to sound like I'm a jerk. I'm not. Well, maybe I am, but not in this case. I can't do this when games are happening. Because I did it on Easter Sunday, it's kind of created this thing that it happens all the time now. No, the next time there's a long rain delay, I'll do it again. But I can't do it during the game. The time doesn't allow it. I can't step away from the headphone. I mean, the time between innings is what, 1:45? You just have to run to pee. So that guy, I tweeted him. I apologized. I felt awful, but I just want people to know I can't do it. It's not because I don't want to do it. I can't do it. It's not the way it works. Good news, we have Laura, and she's going to join us at 2 o'clock. So I'm looking forward to that, Laura Albanese. The transfer portal is an amazing thing, right? So Dylan Darling of St. John's, he hit that unbelievable shot to beat Kansas in the second round of the NCAA tournament and get St. John's into the Sweet 16. He was an effective little player, like an irritant. They called him church bells because he had big onions, whatever the case may be. But he wasn't a star on the team by any stretch of the imagination. Well, he has been offered, according to the story in the New York Post, big 7-figure contracts in NIL to go to another team. Dylan Darling. Again, I don't want to pile on Dylan Darling. You're going to pay Dylan over $1 million, maybe even more, as teams are bidding for him. Now, Dylan did enter the transfer portal, and it makes sense because St. John's got a verbal commitment from a point guard, 6'5" point guard. His name is Quinn Ellis, and he plays in the Euro League. So I'm sure that Quinn is coming to St. John's just to get that great St. John's education, leaving Europe just for that. And I'm sure he got big money to come play in St. John's. So that kind of solidified Dylan Darling going to the transfer portal. And if they don't sign Quinn Ellis, they probably give Dylan Darling all that money. Again, Dylan Darling is a nice player, but like a game changer, a guy you're paying over $1 million a year to, this stuff is foreign to me. It's absolutely foreign. The money that like mid players are getting, it's shocking. There are guys that could make more money staying in school than they would if they were a lower first-round draft pick in the NBA. They'll get more money. Maybe that's the best hope from all of this, that people will stay in college for 4 years because the money will be so good. Why would they risk being like a lower first-round or second-round pick, and that money's not guaranteed? Again, just let that ruminate, everybody. Dylan Darling is getting 7-figure offers from other schools. And he's going to sign soon because he's in the transfer portal. Shocking. He's not a star. He's a nice, serviceable player, but not a star. It's outrageous. I'm glad for the kids that they're getting this money because obviously the schools can't control themselves and they got money to spend, money to burn, and that's exactly what they're doing. So good luck to Dylan wherever you land, and spend the money wisely. Laura Albanese of Newsday joins us in a moment. NBA fans, listen up. You can enter FanDuel's Play-In Palooza for a chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets every day of the Play-In tournament. All you have to do is place a bet, a live bet, using your Play-In Palooza token. Then you'll automatically be entered for a chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets. You don't just watch the NBA Play-In tournament from the sidelines. No. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get in on the action. And don't forget to enter FanDuel's Play-In Palooza for a chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 plus and physically present in New York. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Limit one entry. Profit Boost tokens or Profit Boost bonus issued as non-withdrawable Profit Boost token. Prizes issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Long Island is more exciting than ever at Jake's 58 Casino Hotel. This month, we're cracking open spring with our $55,000 Explosion drawing. Earn entries all month long, then be here Thursday, April 30th from 4 to 6 p.m. when 2 winners will be drawn every hour to win cash prizes ranging from $2,500 to $10,000. At 7 p.m., 1 winner will be drawn to hatch the grand prize of $20,000 at Jake's 58 Casino Hotel.
If gambling is a problem for you or someone you care about, please call the 24-hour toll-free helpline at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Make cancer screening a part of your annual healthcare routine. New York Presbyterian offers a full range of cancer screenings, including lung, cervical, prostate, colorectal, breast, and more. Regular cancer screenings could save your life by detecting cancer at its earliest, most treatable stages. Screenings are available across New York City and Westchester. Learn more at nyp.org/cancer screening. Stay amazing. New York Presbyterian.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
New York Knicks fans, here's a total slam dunk. For a limited time, new Verizon Mobile and home customers can get Fios and a line of mobile for just $69.99 a month with AutoPay. Get Fios 300 megabits per second for $20 a month and unlimited welcome for $50 a month plus taxes and fees when you bring your own phone. Visit a Verizon store today to learn more. For new Fios Internet and mobile customers, discounts applied over 36 months. Mobile and home discount enrollment required. Additional terms apply. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds.
What's up, Met fans? This is Francisco Lindor.
This is Devin Williams.
This is Luke Weaver.
Bo Bichette here. You're listening to the home of New York Mets baseball.
WHSQ and WCBS-FM HD2, New York.
If you manage an active facility, you don't have time for disruption. Tricon Construction specializes in working inside healthcare, commercial, and industrial buildings without shutting operations down. That means tight planning, clear communication, safe, disciplined execution, because when patients are inside, when tenants are working, when production can't stop, there's no margin for mistakes. When it has to be handled professionally and handled right, Tricon is the only choice. Visit TriconBuilds.com, TriconBuilds.com.
If you've been injured on a construction site, then you need a lawyer who knows New York's unique labor laws. At the Parisman Firm, they have decades of experience handling construction accident cases and a proven track record of delivering huge results. Their team has already recovered nearly $1 billion for hardworking New Yorkers. From scaffold accidents to slip and falls and equipment failures, they've got your back. Call the Parisman Firm now at 718-WORKERS. That's right, 718-WORKERS, because your case is their cause. Get the justice you deserve today.
Rich Eisen here. A SoFi personal loan is here to help you achieve something once thought impossible: overcoming high-interest credit card debt. Walk the tightrope of your finances with one low fixed-rate monthly payment, no fees required, and as soon as the same-day funding. That's right. Pull off your own debt-defying stunt with a SoFi personal loan. Visit SoFi.com/trick to learn more. Loans originated by SoFi Bank N.A. Member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. NMLS 696891.
In today's fast-moving job market, staying ahead means keeping your skills sharp. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we help keep your capabilities cutting edge with our skills-based education programs designed to move your career forward. Explore more than 135 degrees and certificates in business, cybersecurity, and more. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start May 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Welcome back to the show. The Mets have lost 7 in a row after last night's 2-1 defeat to the Dodgers at Uniglow Field at Dodger Stadium at Chavez Ravine. Very long name. And I said with the Mets struggling, I want to talk to Laura Albanese, who covers the Mets for Newsday. And if you haven't read her, you should. She's outstanding, but you better hurry up because she's going to be a star in this side of the industry. And I've told her that personally, and I'll say it on the air. She's great on TV. She's great on radio. So hopefully she's great on the show right now. Laura, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and now I feel like the expectations are high, and I will try my very best to live up to them.
I think you'll do just fine. All right, so simple question, probably a complicated answer. What do you think is wrong with this team, and do you think it's something to be concerned about for a season?
So I know everyone is saying it's only April, but I think one of the things that you do have to look at is the fact this team is failing in ways that are very similar to last year's team, except it's a completely different roster. So you do have to look at the approach of some of the at-bats. I mean, the thing that really stuck out to me yesterday was the 3 at-bats against Alex Vesia in the 9th inning of the Dodgers game. And these were just 3 non-competitive at-bats from Jorge Polanco, Bo Bichette, and Francisco Alvarez, where we saw them strike out, all 3 of them, on 10 pitches combined, 7 of which were out of the strike zone. So you can already tell, like, the approach there, the expanding the strike zone, the chase, that's a big issue. That coupled with the fact that, Juan Soto isn't coming back, and I cannot understate that enough, how much Juan Soto's absence means to this team. You're in a really tough stretch right now where guys have to pick each other up in the lineup, and they're just not doing it.
So, I mean, one thing that they did over the offseason was they kind of cleaned out the coaching staff. So is this the fault of the new hitting coaches or do we blame the players? I've always had a problem with that, Laura. Is it the players' fault when they don't produce? And when I say that, Don LaGreca used to always tell me, then why do they have coaches if it's not their fault? So where does it lie here?
I generally am more on the side of it's the players' fault when they don't produce. I mean, when you look at this lineup in particular, these are veterans. It's not like, it's populated exclusively like by some kids. It's not the Cardinals, a team that's young and, you have to kind of mold. But guys like Francisco Lindor, guys like Polanco, guys like Bo Bichette, these guys have been around, and they have their own particular approaches that I don't think change too much depending on the coaching staff. We do hear like the coaches worked a little bit with Luis Robert Jr. to cut down his chase rate, and that's great. But I think right now what we're seeing is also a bunch of people who are acclimating to a new environment, acclimating to a new clubhouse, and trying to figure out where they fit in this lineup. And it's not happening as seamlessly as I think David Stearns might have hoped, and almost understandably so. I mean, all these guys are basically new, and they're getting injected into the situation where, for a lot of people, considering the state of their payroll, it's World Series or bust.
Is there something to be read, Laura, into the fact that Cohen is with the team the first 2 games?
I don't think so. He tries to kind of make a trip out to the West Coast. I think he just kind of lets I've seen him at Dodger Stadium before. I think he likes it here. I think he happens to be here, and he's kind of stopping in. I do think it's interesting. He tweeted late last night on X, basically saying that he sees like these green shoots, basically that he sees potential for an upturn with Francisco Lindor, who started off to a very cold start, with Bo Bichette, and all these other things. And obviously, if the one true bright side yesterday was Nolan McLean was absolutely lights out. So he's seeing something good there. I would be a little bit careful with declaring any moral victories right now, just because when we look at last year's team, again, that was a team that lost by just 1 game. And, in the grand scheme of things, that 1 game could be a game in April.
We're talking with Laura Albanese of Newsday, covers the Mets for Newsday right here on the Michael Kay Show. Listen, we know historically that Lindor's gotten off to a slow start. He had the home run yesterday. But what I don't understand, and I can't make sense of, he's playing almost distracted. He's making mental mistakes. Is there anything behind that? Why do you think this is happening?
He doesn't even know. I mean, we've asked him. We've asked Carlos Mendoza. It is strange to see, because that's not the Francisco Lindor that we know, This is not the player that came to New York. You could say whatever you want about his slow starts, but his mind is always in the game. So forgetting the number of outs is something that we don't see for Francisco Lindor, things like that. Like not taking the extra base. There are certain situations where you're like, okay, is something going on? I mean, there are a bunch of theories. One possibly being that when a guy who is used to playing every single day misses such a huge chunk of the spring training, that can kind of get you a little bit off kilter. He was obviously coming back from the hamate bone surgery. So that could be something, and it might be, a situation where as he gets more prepared and kind of has an untraditional spring training in this first month of the season, then he'll finally get kind of click into place.
Now, you're around the team, and one of the whispers that remains out there is that Lindor and Soto are not best friends. Now, you don't have to be best friends. There have been teams that won championships that, certain players didn't like each other. Is there friction between these two? Is there a problem?
I don't really see one. I mean, and of course, everything happens behind closed doors. You can't really, you're not in there. I don't think that there is definitive friction. Do they seem like best friends? Absolutely not. They seem like work colleagues, these are 2 guys who kind of have their own personalities and their own ways of going about things. But, you walk into the Mets clubhouse, Lindor's locker is at the very, very front, and Soto's locker is very, very back. And they kind of they exist around each other. So I don't know that the friction I feel like it might be overblown. I think it's a situation where it's just, you're not going to be in love with every single person that you work with, but you can certainly respect them. And I will say that the respect between the 2 is palpable.
So it almost describes the situation with you and Eric Bolin, who covers the Yankees for Newsday. You don't like him that much, but you work with him, so it works out.
Oh, no, we're fully antagonistic, and I think it works great.
Is there a timetable? I mean, what's the latest timetable on Soto getting back? So they said at the beginning 2 to 3 weeks. So where are we, and when do they expect him back?
Well, I asked Mendoza this 2 days ago, and he said he's still on track for that 2 to 3 week time frame. He only started running yesterday. The thing with Soto is you never want a calf strain to turn into an Achilles. You don't want something like that, because then you lose a guy like Juan Soto for the season. So again, bookmarking that 3 week mark, which should bring him back for a late April return. That being said, the Mets are extremely cautious when it comes to Soto, because the season might quite literally hinge on him. So if they feel it's necessary, they're going to do more imaging. to make sure that the cap is exactly where they need it. They're not going to be in a place where they bring back Soto if he's not at least close to 100%, because as Mendoza pointed out, sure, if you just like stick him in the DH, that's not really a protection because he gets on base so much and he runs the base paths. It's still going to be like a really active sort of lower body situation, and that could aggravate the injury.
How's Bo Bichette fitting in? Is he down on himself because he's off to a slow start?
He seems okay. No, he's a professional hitter. He's a very professional guy. Just seeing him in the clubhouse, he's understated. He's focused. His at-bats have looked a lot better of late. The one person I'm more actually kind of concerned with is Jorge Polanco, because there were some swings, especially yesterday. He's dealing with bursitis. There were some swings, especially yesterday, where he looked like to be in active pain. So they are using him in that DH spot. But Polanco was pretty important early on, in the first week or two of the season, because he was taking a lot of walks. And when he was taking a lot of walks, especially, hitting in front of Luis Robert Jr., who historically has been more of a free swinger, it allowed a guy of Robert's kind of like talent level and power to see more pitches and also to be more judicious with his at-bats. So when you're seeing a guy like Polanco expand the strike zone, when you're seeing him wince, when you're seeing him look uncomfortable on the base paths, I think that's a little bit more worrying.
Any shortening of the leash on Benj because he hasn't gotten off to a great start? Defensively, he looks very good, but offensively, he's struggling.
Not necessarily. I think they're going to pick their spots with him against left-handed pitchers, but this is very clearly a situation where they want him to figure it out a little bit more on the fly. I had spoken to Benj's college coach, over in spring training, and he very much said, like, Benj is an instinctual sort of hitter. He's not going to overthink things. And I think right now he got into a situation, understandably so, where so much pressure was put on him that maybe he was thinking about things a little bit too much when he was coming up to bat. So once he starts getting more comfortable against pitching, kind of getting more comfortable, just in his own skin, I think you're probably going to see a little bit more of the Benj that we saw in spring training, which frankly was fairly aggressive. David Stearns has said that, he can run the base paths and he can play the outfield, especially with Soto gone. You need somebody defensively apt in the outfield, because for as great as Beatty has looked, he is also, that is a position he's never played before this year. And with Luis Robert Jr., he's a defensively elite center fielder, yeah, but you also got to keep him healthy. And for the last 2 years, various parts of his legs have just basically fallen off of him towards the tail end of the season, and you just can't have that when you have a guy of that talent. So they really don't have much of an option right now in terms of replacing Benj. You do have Tyrone Taylor, who's an excellent defensive outfielder, but he also kind of is a light-hitting person.
Laura Albanese covers the Mets for Newsday. Before I let you go, Laura, the questions I started to get yesterday on the show, and it's kind of surprising, Mendoza, maybe they need a new manager. And, I mean, again, when do you blame the manager, when do you blame the players? Is he in any danger at all?
I don't think he should be, but this is New York. And, I think if when your entire coaching staff in one way or another leaves, whether they decide to retire or feel like they're pushed to retirement, or whether they go to another team, or whether they're fired or whatever else, that almost certainly means that as a manager, the focus is on you. This is his contract year. This is last year, signed with the Mets. So, yes, I do believe that his job could be in jeopardy. Is it fair? Not necessarily so.
Do you think it could be imminent, or is it going to be a while before it's really in jeopardy?
I think you got to give it a while. I just, especially with Soto down, the pitchers, the pitching has been very mercurial in terms of okay, so Peralta's doing great. Clay Holmes has been doing great. McQuaid is absolutely phenomenal, but Peterson and Senga obviously are running into some trouble. So I think you do need to give it a while to see if this is indicative of who the Mets are right now, or if this is just kind of like an early squall that they can kind of get past. Because frankly, one of Mendoza's best qualities as a manager is his ability to stay steady when things are going very, very poorly. Maybe that frustrates fans when it happens in September, but it's absolutely necessary when it's happening in April, because baseball seasons, the things that happen in April, last year's team had a phenomenal first half. They were great, and then they completely swooned. And in Mendoza's first year, I believe they lost the first 5 games, and then it started to be like one of the most magical seasons in Mets history. So I think you have to give it time, weeks maybe, but I would be surprised if it happens within the next month or so.
Yeah, just knowing him, Laura, from his time with the Yankees, he's very, very chill, and I could see that steady hand. But I'm wondering, behind the scenes, is he showing any signs of stress at all with the losing? Because think about it, since June 12th of last year, this team, record-wise, has been one of the worst teams in baseball.
He's frustrated. He's certainly frustrated. There were times last year, when especially towards the end, that final season in Miami and the games leading up to it, where the frustration was palpable in his face, but also the disbelief, the kind of we have all these pieces and it's just not coming together. So I would imagine that probably personally he's very upset, but I don't think that he portrays that to the players. I think that's one of his strengths. And I think one of the issues that the Mets encountered last year and are potentially still encountering this year is that they don't tend to prosper when there's this onus on them, where there are these expectations on them. The 2024 team was a surprise, and 2025 was, again, World Series of bust. Same thing with this year. So it could be, and you're seeing it in their at-bats, you see it manifesting in their at-bats, but these guys are just pressing. They're in their own heads. They're trying to make something happen. They very badly want to win. And I think a manager who maybe adds the fuel to the fire by being overly reactive probably doesn't help in the situation.
Great stuff, Laura. Keep up the good work. Reading you all the time, and I'll see you at the Subway Series.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
You got it. That's Laura Albanese. You could read her in Newsday all the time, and she's on SNY a lot as well. Let's go back to the phone calls, 1-800-919-3776. Let's go to Brandon in South Carolina. Brandon.
Hey, Michael. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I wanted to talk about Rice and then a question about the bullpen. I agree completely. He needs to be in the lineup for multiple reasons against lefties. One, he's just shown at this point he's an overall great hitter. You need to get him in there as a lineup. Two, you don't want to isolate him from lefties, and then that's something he's missing down the road. This is a guy who could be your first baseman for the next decade. So he needs to get those reps as well. So
I
quick
agree on
question
all
with
fronts.
Rice.
I don't think he gets neutralized all that much from lefties. Obviously, there's a drop off from his production against righties, and that's natural, but not that much. Hard hit, it's right there with left-handed pitching and right-handed pitching. So I just believe that you've got to get as many at-bats from Rice as possible, and when you don't start him, you're taking at-bats away from him. And I know he's a weapon off the bench, but as I said earlier, Judge would be a great weapon off the bench too. But you want to give him 5 at-bats a game. You don't want to have him come off the bench in the 6th inning and get 2 at-bats. You're taking at-bats away from one of your best players. And I think, I'm not blaming Boone or criticizing Boone. I think it's a conundrum. Goldschmidt's on the team, so he has to use him. And how are you going to use him? And I say the way you use him is he pinch hits in late inning situations against lefty relievers. That's how you use him. That's how you pick your spot. And they should also, if they want to continue to, because he's great defensively at first base, you got to get Rice up to snuff to be catching, because then they could both be in the lineup. And then when they bring in a right-hander, you pinch hit Wells, and Rice moves back to first, and Wells is your catcher. Let's go to Cal. He's upstate. What's up, Cal?
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Good.
A huge Yankee fan, Mike. I have a series of issues with this Yankees roster dating back to last year, and the Yankees running it back with Cashman and his non-moves pretty much the offseason. I was a huge proponent of us signing C.J. Abrams or trading for him and Yandy Diaz. C.J. Abrams has 6 home runs so far this season, and he's a bad
defender,
over 300.
though, Cal, he's a bad defender.
But the numbers that he's putting up offensively, I think you can live with that. And hello?
I'm right here. That's their decision whether they want to live with that. And I know you don't want to hear this. They still believe in Volpe.
Yeah, but when Volpe comes, Volpe numbers aren't historically great either, comparable to C.J. Abrams.
Yeah, but Volpe's won a Gold Glove. C.J. Abrams, people are saying that he's going to eventually be an outfielder. He's not a great defender. They liked the team they had last year. I know that there's a lot of fans that don't agree with it. They won 94 games last year. That's why they ran it back. And they're adding a Cy Young Award winner in Cole at the end of May, and they're going to have 32 starts of Cam Schlittler. They believe that that's a big difference. And they have the guys they brought in last year in the bullpen for the entire season, not just the final 2 months. Don't fall in love with a player like C.J. Abrams because he just got off to a great start. And as for Yandy Diaz, every team in baseball is interested in Yandy Diaz. You know why? Because he's a professional hitter. And the Rays didn't trade him. You can't make a team trade a player. He's an important part of what the Rays do. A lot of teams try for Yandy Diaz. I'm sure that the Yankees made a phone call last year, too. He's not available. Maybe he's available at some point this year. You can't make teams trade people just because you want them. It's not the way it works. Let's go to Greg in Hoboken. Greg. Hey,
Michael,
Greg.
I wanted to give you a different angle to think about this NIL and college players.
Okay.
A lot of these numbers seem outrageous, but when you think about it, what's not being paid for is actually how good they are. The prices or the value of these contracts reflects the demand that the people are willing to pay for these for whatever reason.
I understand that, Greg, but let me ask you, because you sound like you know what you're talking about. Is it kind of, maybe I'm just reacting because, I covered college sports when they supposedly didn't play player, that Dylan Darling is going to get over $1 million to play somewhere? That there's enough teams that value him to give him that kind of money?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I think it actually makes perfect sense. What it actually tells you was that how much the college players weren't getting access to the funds they should have had based on the money that flows into college basketball.
Oh, that's true.
In the first
Absolutely.
place.
Absolutely.
So I just want you to sort of think about that as like.
But I can see paying an A.J. DeBanza $7 million because he's one of the best players in college. But Dylan Darling is going to get over $1 million. Good for him. That's just struck me. That's all it did. And you're right, Greg. These guys should have been paid for a long time. So I love the fact that they're getting paid. But, Greg, the way they're allocating money is crazy.
So that's the funny thing. That's the way markets work.
Yep.
And what I find interesting is just one last point. Typically when free markets happen, they usually favor basically owners or people who have sort of a monopoly on some sort of talent. In this case, what I find interesting is now that the players are unconstrained, their market value can be expressed. And what I find interesting is people come in and say, oh, well, we need to put a control on this. Well, that's actually limiting free markets. And I always find it interesting when owners or people who had the value before because they control the system now come back and say, well, we need something like socialism. We need basically controlled markets, which is essentially socialism. So I find that always ironic when the tables finally get turned in terms of players and stuff like that, how tunes kind of change somewhat.
Well, you just described what's going to happen starting December 1st in baseball. But the one thing I would disagree with you on, Greg, that free markets do not benefit the owners. Free markets benefit the workforce. So look at a non-cap sport like baseball, where a free market got Kyle Tucker, a very good player, but I don't think he's a superstar, $60 million a year. And I do agree, owners want a salary cap in baseball, but if you asked them to put a salary cap on their private business other than baseball, boy, they wouldn't like that. Therein lies the conundrum. But that's the one thing that you said that I disagree with. Free market benefits the workforce, does not benefit the owners, because the workforce is going to get paid, for the most part, what it's worth. And you're going to have teams bidding. But if you have a salary cap, then it's not a free market at all. But somehow it works out because players in the NBA making a lot of money. NFL making a lot of money. So I don't begrudge college players the money. I think it's ruined college sports, though, because Dylan Darling had one of the biggest shots in St. John's history by beating Kansas, right? St. John's fans don't have a chance to celebrate him next year coming back. They don't. Now, what I would do, I want the players to make the money, but you have to commit to at least 2 years in the college that you committed to money. You can't go to 4 different colleges in 4 different years. You just can't. There's got to be some sort of commitment to keep the flow of the sport forward. Every single year it's going to be completely different teams. And there should be restraints put on the movement of college coaches too. Really should. And that's what led to this as well. That's why they're all crying now. They were allowed to do this, and now players are allowed to do it. Pendulums always swing way too far than they should. And right now, the pendulum has swung all the way in favor of the players and not in favor of the colleges. Mike Lupica will join us because it's Wednesday and 2:30. That's what we do. And if it feels like everybody's sick right now, you aren't imagining it. Doctors say this is the worst cold and flu season in 25 years, and it's not over. I was just down in Tampa this past weekend. It's like everyone around me was coughing, sneezing, and sick. I can't afford to get sick. I doubt you can either. That's why I ordered a medical emergency kit. Having a medical emergency kit is like having urgent care and pharmacy right in your home. It includes essential prescriptions like generic Z-Pak to help you get well faster, plus important antibiotics to treat pneumonia, strep throat, sinus and ear infections, nausea, even UTIs, and many more common and serious illnesses. It's in your kit the moment you need it. No waiting for your doctor, no hours at urgent care, no lines at the pharmacy, no copays. Just match your symptoms to the right prescription in your guidebook, or, and this is important, you can call their telemedicine doctor standing by. Start on your meds and feel better faster. It's genius. It's a game changer. Every home needs at least one medical emergency kit. Order yours online in minutes, and it's shipped to your door. I can save you $45 when you use my promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880. Again, save $45 with my promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880.
Want to earn extra income for your business? Amazon Hub Delivery is looking for ambitious business owners to assist with local deliveries. When you become a partner, you and your staff will deliver packages to customers in your area on a schedule that works for you. With each package delivered, you'll gain extra income and exposure for your business. Plus, Amazon Hub Delivery makes it easy to get started. There's no upfront costs, delivery experience, or long-term contracts required. Sign up to learn more at amazon.com/hub delivery. That's amazon.com/HUB delivery.
Life is motion, but for Jaime, debilitating pain in both hips brought everything, including family time, to a halt.
Every doctor told me the same thing. They would do one hip at a time.
At White Plains Hospital, Dr. Jacob Totka's unique expertise provided an alternate approach by replacing both of Jaime's hips on the same day.
In just 2 hours, I got 2 new hips, and I went home that day.
White Plains Hospital, among the best hospitals anywhere that just so happens to be here. A member of the Montefiore Health System.
Hey, it's Alan Hahn. Rings End is your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. They're your store for quality with a full line of brilliant and durable Benjamin Moore paints. They're your store for inspiration with thousands of colors and a variety of sheens. And Rings End is your store for expertise with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. Insist on Benjamin Moore paint from Rings End because the gorgeous color you love can't be matched in another brand of paint.
Hey, this is Chevy, managing partner at Precision Solar. We believe going solar should be simple, and it should make real financial sense. We manage the entire process from start to finish and offer flexible solar payment options designed around your goals. When the numbers work, solar can lower your monthly cost and give you predictable energy for decades. And if you refer someone who installs with us, you can earn up to $1,000. Visit PrecisionSolar.com to schedule your free home assessment.
25 a month, 5 whole years. Same sweet number in your ears. Check it in a year, check it in 5. This ain't optimum 5, but price is still alive. 25 a month, 5 whole years. Same sweet number in your ears.
Get Optimum famously fast fiber internet. Optimum.com/25 for 5. Or call 8884-OPTIMUM.
Terms apply. See Optimum.com for details.
The New York City Department of Correction offers countless career opportunities, from specialized units to leadership roles that support public safety and change lives for the better. It starts with one step: registering for the New York City Correction Officer exam. Earn over $109,000 after just 5.5 years. Benefits on day one, job security, pension at any age after 22 years of service. Go to nyc.gov/joinDOC or search Join DOC. One career, many opportunities. Register today to take the test.
Monkey Sports, built by players for players, is your one-stop shop for hockey, baseball, lacrosse, and more. Find top-name equipment and expert in-store services like sharpening, break-ins, and relacing. Shop in-store at Monkey Sports in Farmingdale or Woodbridge, or online for all the top brands. Whatever your sports, Monkey Sports gets you game ready fast. Monkey Sports, where athletes shop.
At City Harvest, we believe no New Yorker has to go hungry. With your help, we're on the road 365 days a year, rescuing over 77 million pounds of nutritious food and delivering it free to millions of New Yorkers, transforming surplus food into sustenance, sustainability, and smiles, rallying thousands of New Yorkers to power a network of nourishment across our city. One day, one meal, and one New Yorker at a time. That's how we feed good. Donate at cityharvest.org.
We all know winning means showing up stronger, faster, better than before. And when you're chasing that edge, the Drop by GNC cuts through the noise, bringing you the best new innovations in sports nutrition and performance. From muscle building and strength support to improved recovery and focus, we curate the newest drops from GNC Amp, Pro Performance, and Mega Min. Plus, Ghost, Raw Nutrition, Bucked Up, and the top new brands changing the game. No guesswork, just leveling up. Check out the Drop by GNC for what's new, what works, and what's next.
Rich Eisen here. For small businesses, every hire counts, and so does your time. Hiring can quickly become overwhelming, from sorting applications to figuring out who's truly qualified. That's where LinkedIn Hiring Pro helps. It streamlines the process so you can focus on connecting with the right candidates, not managing the noise. Hire right the first time. Post your job and get $100 off towards your job post at linkedin.com/Eisen. That's linkedin.com/Eisen. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Wednesday at this time, we get a chance to talk to the New York Daily News' Mike Lupica, legendary sports writer, columnist, and also best-selling author as well. And he joins us now. Hi, Mike.
Good afternoon, Michael. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Which New York baseball team should I be worried about, Mike?
Oh, well, you can worry about both of them, Michael, but you can worry a lot more about the Mets, who are once again playing like one of the worst teams in baseball. Michael, I'm starting to worry about something. I don't want to transfer this to you, but I'm watching them lately. I'm worried that Juan Soto is underpaid. What do you think? Do you agree or not agree?
He's so important to this team. You're so right.
This all winter long. We heard about run prevention. No, run scoring would help, because usually the team that scores the best wins. It didn't work out that way for the Yankees last year. No, Michael, they look like a very dead baseball team. I've been calling around baseball asking for theories about what's going on with Lindor. Maybe he came back too soon from the hand injury. His swing hasn't looked good until last night. It actually looked good finally, but. Yeah, without Soto, it's like would be like taking number 99 away from the Yankees. And what we've seen from the Yankee offense lately, until the other night, was this. Mike, this is the great fear of all Yankee fans. What happens the year his level drops some? Okay, and I don't think it's going to happen, and I hope it doesn't happen, because I love watching him play baseball, and I think he's just he and Ohtani are the two great at bats of the sport. But all of this stuff, all Yankee fans know the way they know their password numbers, okay, their passwords. Mike, when you run back the same team, you also run back a lot of the same weaknesses from that team. I don't know why they thought Ryan McMahon was going to be better. He hit, 208 as a Yankee last year? Mm-hmm. And you have to explain something to me, because you watch them more closely than I, but I follow them pretty closely. Why isn't Ben Wright getting 4 and 5 at-bats every single day, especially at a time when they need offense?
I opened the show with that, and listen, I'm not blaming Boone, but he's got a clunky bench, and if you don't play Goldschmidt against lefties, why is he on the team? Because he has so limited value. He can only play one position. He can't run, so you're not going to pinch run him. There's just so much you could use him. Otherwise, he becomes just a body that sits on the bench. But Aaron Boone explained to Chris Kirchner of The Athletic that Ben Rice is not a platoon player, but he hasn't started in 4 of the 5 games against lefties, Mike. And Boone loves him coming up the bench, but that means you're taking 2 or 3 at-bats away from him by not starting him. I think he's got to start every day. I agree with you.
He has been in most, and whatever metrics you want to use, he's been their most consistent hitter this year.
Yep.
And Michael, their one fat pitch from Mark Leiter Jr. and Jordan Romano the other day from having a rather epic April losing streak going, and they can tell themselves, well, we're just losing close games. Okay, they can, but oh my goodness gracious, they can't sit down Rice. Did I read a story the other day that they were saving him for the big moments? Wait, what? No. Right now for the Yankees, they're all big moments. I mean, Mike, coming out of the weekend in St. Petersburg, which you had a front row seat to, I read some stuff. Well, they got the Angels coming up. They're no better than the Angels right now.
No, the whole American League is very even. And, I opened the show saying, if you want to get nervous, just remember the Minnesota Twins have the best record in the American League. So it's a small sample size, but you do look for things to be concerned about over the long term. Now, I want to just double back to the Mets for a moment. Late last night, Steve Cohen tweeted out, all is not lost. Whatever. I'm not going to paraphrase what he said. But when he took over the team, Met fans rejoiced. Uncle Steve, they got rid of the big bad Wilpons. Do you think Met fans are still embracing Steve Cohen? Do they like this social media presence? Do you think it annoys them?
Mike, I will say this right now, okay? Steve Cohen has his fingerprints on this season and on last season, and even the season before, because of his infatuation with the head of his baseball operations, David Stearns. Mm-hmm. And I'm not writing him off, but I'm telling you, this season is more a referendum on a guy that Cohen acted like had invented baseball in Milwaukee. And it is also on the general manager of the Yankees. Before we go too further with the Mets, by the way, do you find it significant that Cashman is in the last year of his contract and we've heard nothing about an extension?
No, I don't, because I think if he wants to stay, he'll stay. I just think that's the way it rolls.
So you'd think at the end of this year, let's play this out, okay? And this may be the year when the Yankees finally win it all again, even if they don't look it that way right now. Say they don't win, Michael. Say they go out in the second round again. Is there any point where Hal Steinbrenner says, yes, we're filling the ballpark. Yes, you've got lots of people watching you on a nightly basis on yes. But at any point, does he say to himself, do I not think that this leadership team, Cashman and his minions, is going to lead us back to the promised land?
I don't think
there ever any point like that?
I don't think this is what Yankee fans want to hear, and I don't think that this is the reason you're asking the question. I think he goes when he wants to go. If he thinks, the noise is too loud, I don't want to put up with this. Why does everybody blame me? I put a team that can win every single year. They haven't won since 2009, but they have a chance to win every single year. I think he stays as long as he wants.
It's Michael. It's.
I think Boone would be more in jeopardy.
Yeah, and I think Carlos Mendoza is going to be in jeopardy because of decisions that Stearns has made. Boone is going to be in jeopardy at some point for decisions that Cashman has made. I'm not saying that managers are always blameless. I'm not saying that at all. But these two teams, and again, we talked about this last week, Michael. They've played the equivalent basically of 1.5 games at the start of an NFL season, okay? But these two teams are a referendum on the judgment and the vision and the planning of the two men in charge of the baseball operations. And the first one to take a fall, if the Mets don't turn around, is going to be a good man and a good manager named Carlos Mendoza. And because Stearns obviously is going to have more runway because he is the golden child of the man who owns the team.
Here's what bothers me about that. Stearns' fingerprints all over Carlos Mendoza. He didn't have the decency to talk to Buck Showalter, so this is on him. If all of a sudden you decide that Carlos Mendoza is not the answer, then it's your fault. You're the one who hired him with no experience. And I think Carlos Mendoza is a good manager and shouldn't be fired. It's not his fault. But David Stearns handpicked him without even having the decency to talk to Buck Showalter. So it's on him.
Mike, you look at this team, okay, and oh my God, the Mets would take Paul Goldschmidt right now as their regular first baseman. Okay. Yeah. Bichette has not been, again, this is our default position. It's a small sample, of course. Bichette's not been what they thought. They're doing everything to keep Robert on the field. The kid at right field, I don't know if he's ready or not. I can't tell you that he is or not. But, Mike, they don't have enough stick. They don't have enough pitching right now. They don't have enough bullpen right now. And, this whole thing that you can't lose it in April. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You can dig a hole for yourself. 2 years ago, they got out of a hole, okay? They were 22-33, and after that, they played as well as any team in the sport all the way till Game 6 against the Dodgers. But, oh, my goodness, if you're staying up late, as I am this week, and watching the Dodgers and the Mets, and you're thinking, wait, weren't they once neck and neck to go to the World Series about 20 minutes ago? Yep. And now they look like they're, Mike, they look like they're a world apart. And I'm not saying that Betts is as important to the Dodgers as Soto is to the Mets. I'm not suggesting that. But they're also missing a former MVP, a multiple world champion, and they go merrily along. And, Mike, if you watch them, and I love watching baseball late at night, they're really fun to watch. They're fun to watch on a nightly basis, and I know how they spend and all that other stuff. But they're the greatest show on earth. And the Mets, it's like you hear people talk sometimes about churches. There are live churches and there are dead churches. The Mets are a dead church right now.
Now, before I let you go, the NBA playoffs, well, the play-in started last night, and LaMelo Ball took out Bam Adebayo in the second quarter, the best player on the Heat, and ended up winning that game. And just from, taking a 30,000-foot view when I watched the highlights when I got home last night, kind of a punk move, Mike. What's your take?
It was a dirty play, Michael, and I can understand in the flow of the game how it was very difficult for the refs, even if they're right on top of the play, to have seen what he did when he swiped his leg, okay? Mm-hmm. But he took out the best player on the other team, and if they had the ability in the moment to replay that play, he would have been tossed. Michael, I don't think it's unreasonable to say he ought to get a game right now, even though their season is on the line because they won last night. You're 100% right. That was a bum play by him. And Spoelstra, everything Eric Spoelstra said afterwards was right. And he said, yes, give them all the credit. But who can look at that game and say, oh, yeah, it would have played out exactly the way it did with all the great plays that the Hornets made down the stretch if Bam Adebayo had been on the court?
The Knicks start their journey on Saturday. What's your gut feeling on them?
I think the Hawks are dangerous. We may have a laugh if they sweep them. They have a tremendous advantage with a guy who, that I've been in his corner all year, and that's Karl Anthony Towns. I don't think the Hawks have anybody who can really cover him. This is a time for him to really shine. But the Knicks have trouble with rangy, athletic, young teams, and the Hawks are that. And they made it pretty clear, Michael, that they were pretty happy to play the Knicks in the first round because they could have avoided a first-round matchup. And they have a guy who I think could be extremely dangerous if things get going good for the Hawks in this series, and that's C.J. McCollum, who's a veteran who can fill it up when he gets hot.
Great stuff. Enjoy that series. Enjoy the baseball tonight. Mike, always a pleasure talking with you.
Okay, pal. See you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.
That's Mike Lupica. Enjoy him every Wednesday. It's one of our more popular segments. People love hearing Mike, and you could read him in the news and at MLB.com and all of the books that he writes as well. We're going to finish up with you, my co-host, 1-800-919-3776. But first, I want to tell NBA fans to listen up. You can enter FanDuel's Play-In Palooza for a chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets every day of the Play-In tournament. All you have to do is place a live bet using your Play-In Palooza token. Then you'll automatically be entered for a chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets. You don't just watch the NBA play-in tournament from the sidelines. Nope. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get in on the action. And don't forget to enter FanDuel's Play-in Palooza for a chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 plus and physically present in New York. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Limit 1 entry. Profit boost bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost token. Prizes issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
The NBA moves fast, and the stars move faster. With DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, you're never a step behind. DraftKings keeps pace with every play, offering industry-leading live betting, dynamic odds that shift as the game unfolds, and more open markets more often. They're live when others aren't, so you're always in the game when it matters most. Get in on the action with live player props as the most exciting performances unfold in real time. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code WHSQ. That's code WHSQ. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problems gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply.
More people trust their hearts to New York Presbyterian than any other hospital in New York. It's because New York Presbyterian has the most experienced cardiovascular doctors, treating a full range of heart conditions, from heart failure to valve repair, with the most advanced treatments. Find a doctor at nyp.org/heart. New York Presbyterian. New York Presbyterian Hospital, based on U.S. News & World Report 2025 to 2026 cardiology, heart, and vascular surgery rankings.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Let me say this. If you're an experienced superintendent in Jersey and you know you're better than the situation that you're in, Tricon Construction wants to talk. They're building serious multifamily, medical, and industrial projects across the state, and they're looking for leaders, not babysitters, real projects, real support, real backing from ownership. If you're ready to step into something bigger, go to triconbuilds.com/careers. That's triconbuilds.com/careers. And yes, it's confidential.
Wow, that's a lot of distractions. Why don't you just focus on the road?
Relax, I'm a great driver.
What about other drivers? Not everyone's a great driver.
I can watch out for them. I'll be fine.
Watch out! In 2023, more than 3,200 people died due to distracted drivers. Keep your eyes on the road. This message brought to you by the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee.
All right, spring's here, and you know what that means. It's time to get that grill going, and if you're not shopping at Wild Fork Foods, you're doing it all wrong. Right now, you get bacon-wrapped pork rounds for $2 each, $2. That's not normal. And chicken thighs for $2 a pound. That's awesome quality at a great value. Everything's blast frozen, so it actually tastes fresh. You got 7 stores or same-day delivery at wildforkfoods.com. Wild Fork Foods, quality meat, wild prices.
Smalls here. What if you could enjoy the flavor of a cocktail without the alcohol? Meet RK Zero Proof, a pioneer in the alcohol-free spirits category that delivers bold taste and a warming sensation, but with 0 alcohol, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and 0 calories. So you can celebrate with friends, unwind after a long day, and wake up tomorrow feeling great. It's all the ritual of a drink without the regret. Discover RK at rkbeverages.com. That's ARKAY beverages.com. RK, the spirit without the alcohol.
Dell PCs with Intel inside are built for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. For the time you forgot your charger at the gate.
Passengers, we are now on our initial ascent.
Or when you're bouncing between projects like a ping pong ball. We build PCs with long-lasting battery life, so you're not scrambling for an outlet. and built-in intelligence, so you can stay focused on whatever you're doing. Dell Technologies, built for you. Dell.com/DellPCs.
Join DiPietro and Rothenberg Thursday, April 23rd for a special couch cast of Round 1 of the NFL Draft, presented by Calandra's Bakery. The Jets and Giants have 3 picks in the top 16, and Rick and Dave will react live as the first round unfolds. From the big decisions to the big-time drama. Catch it all in this YouTube-only exclusive, and it's all from Calandra's Bakery and your home for football talk. ESPN New York.
Welcome back to the show, the Michael K. Show Reverse Remote. This is interesting. It's coming up on April 23rd, and it's presented by our good friends at Floor & Decor. A full show takeover with everything that you need to upgrade your home, while we break down everything happening in New York sports and sports around the country. If you're in Brooklyn, stop by Floor & Decor's flagship store at 850 3rd Avenue, because while we're on the air, there's plenty happening in store. The Michael K. Show Reverse Remote, presented by Floor & Decor. Giants talks with Dexter Lawrence have hit a snag, so it doesn't look like they'll get an extension done, so he still wants to be traded. Well, here's my advice to them. If you could trade him, like you capitulate to his demands, if you trade him and you can get draft picks this year or a player that could help you this year, then consider it. If you can't trade him and help fill that spot, either with draft picks or a player, then let him rot. Now, he's going to be upset. You might get a really disgruntled player, but he's going to have to come to a decision. Do I play and make the money they actually have on the contract? He still has 2 years left on his 4-year deal. Or do I just sit out? Because you're going to get fined every single day because he's a player under contract. So the Giants, in my opinion, have 2 decisions. Can they make a trade to get a 2026 draft pick where they could fill that spot? Or a player where they can fill that spot? If they can't, and the only thing that they can get are future draft picks, like in 2027 or 2028, then make Mr. Lawrence sweat. Now, you'll eventually trade him because you don't need a pouting player on your team that's not going to give you 100%, but make him pay those fines. Make him wonder if he's going to be able to play at all. And then, at some point, make a trade for a 2027 draft pick. Because if you don't get a 2026 draft pick and you don't get a player that could step into that role, then you're messed up anyway. That's a big hole on your defensive line. So if you're going to be messed up, you know what? Mess him up. Make him have to sit and sweat because he's making you sit and sweat, isn't he? Congratulations to the Tigers. Kevin McGonigal just signed an 8-year, $150 million deal. He's 21 years old. And what that means is that he signed until he's 29. Tigers get a player at a reasonable price that a lot of people think is going to be a really good player for a long time. And there's got to be a method to the madness of all of these teams signing these players and these players grabbing the money. And it could be the upcoming negotiations for the CBA. The Pirates did it. The Mariners did it. The Brewers have done it. A lot of teams are doing it. And a lot of the young players are accepting it rather than playing it year to year. So it's an interesting fad that's happening in big league baseball where these young, talented players are grabbing the money, grabbing the security. Why are they doing that? Why are teams doing it? Well, they're doing it for cost certainty, and maybe the smaller market teams know they're going to have to hit a certain number. If they do get a cap, there's going to be a floor. So this way they're going to pay the players that they want to pay right now, rather than having to fill a roster with the flotsam and jetsam just to reach a floor. Notice the big market teams don't do it. It's now Detroit's not a small market team, but it's the smaller market teams that do, in fact, do it. 1-800-919-3776. Let's go to Johnny in the Bronx. Johnny. Hello, John. Hello.
Hey, it's Vernon. It's Vernon in the Bronx. How you doing,
I'm
Mike?
sorry, Vernon. It was written wrong. My apologies.
That's okay. It's a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Thank you.
We got a lot in common. You're born February 61. We grew up in the South Bronx, and we love the Yankees.
Oh, I love it. Good stuff.
Yes, sir. I hope to talk to you again in the future.
Me too.
But I just want to say something about the Knicks, man.
Okay.
I think they made a big mistake 2 years ago. They should have found a way to keep Hardenstein. They traded away the toughest guy from Villanova, and that's Dante, and also, to get Cat, they had to give up Randall. I think that was their toughness. I think that's where they're blowing it.
Well, I will tell you this, though, Vernon. It was impossible to sign Hartenstein. They just, because of the CBA, they could only offer him so much money. And they offered him the most money they could offer him. They had no more money to offer. Within the confines of the CBA, they offered him what they were allowed to offer him. And then Oklahoma City came in and gave him about $33 million a year. Yeah, that was a big loss. He was a really effective player for them. Now, if you're going to let DiVincenzo stand between you getting Karl Anthony Towns, I don't think he could do that. And I like DiVincenzo's toughness. And I like Randall's toughness. But you got either a second or third team All-NBA player, which means you got one of the top 15 players in basketball in Karl Anthony Towns. I think it's a deal that you had to make. And I think the Knicks have not used him the right way. And I agree with what Mike Lupica said. He's going to be a key in the upcoming series against Atlanta. They don't have size. They can't cover him. They can't. He should be the guy that the Knicks use and exploit the weakness in Atlanta's defense. Atlanta poses some problems to the Knicks. Size is not one of those things. And if you look back at the Atlanta game that the Knicks won right before they ended the season more on a positive than a negative, they used that two-man game between Brunson and Cat a lot. Cat's going to be a key in the series. I don't think the Knicks are going to struggle against Atlanta. Atlanta's good, but everybody's making out it's going to be like the Detroit series from last year. I don't see it. I think the Knicks should take care of business in 5 games. I really should. I really do believe that. And if they lose to Atlanta, then this whole season was an absolute epic fail. But I don't think they're losing to Atlanta, so let's not even entertain that. I don't even think Atlanta is going to have the Knicks sweat. And if they sweat, that's going to only make that next series against the Celtics even tougher. Don Hahn and Rosenberg coming up in just a moment. You have to stay tuned for that. Always a great show. When I get in my car right now and I head to the stadium, that's what I'm listening to. That's how good they are. And congratulations to Don. Last night was the final game of the season for the Devils. He did an unbelievable job in his first season as the play-by-play voice on television for the Devils. He's the best, and he aced it. His dream job, he got it, and he aced it. So congratulations to Donnie. In the words of Billy Joel, life is a series of hellos and goodbyes. I'm afraid it's time for goodbye again. See everybody. I will not talk to you tomorrow. Yankees have a day game, but I'll be back again at 1 on Friday. So long, everybody.
Prizes, flyaways, even cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting ESPNNewYorkContests.com.
That's ESPNNewYorkContests.com.
Attention!